So now we want to solve the equation 2 cosine 2x minus 2 cosine x is equal to 0. When we're solving trig equations, we do want to have, if possible, the same trig function all the way across if we can't factor it or anything like that. We do have cosines, which is good, but the problem is the arguments are different. So we have a cosine 2x here and a cosine x here. So that doesn't really work very well. So what we're going to try to do is we're going to replace the cosine of 2x so that it is in terms of functions where the argument is just x. So we're just going to use a double angle formula, and so we'll have 2. Since the other trig function is a cosine, I want to use the cosine 2x formula that involves cosines only. So we know that cosine of 2x is 2 cosine squared x minus 1. So we have 2 times 2 cosine squared x minus 1 minus 2 cosine x equals 0. So now we have the entire equation in terms of just cosines of x. So this would be 4 cosine squared x minus 2 minus 2 cosine x is equal to 0. One thing I noticed is that we have a 2 in common to each term, so we could, if we wanted to, divide everything by 2 just to make the numbers a little bit smaller. And that would give us 2 cosine squared x minus cosine x minus 1 is equal to 0. And I just switched the cosine x and the constant term just because I like to go in descending powers of my unknown. So we've got 2 cosine squared x minus cosine x minus 1 equals 0, which I think will factor. So that would be, let's see, the first two terms would be a 2 cosine x and a cosine x. And the last two terms have to multiply to give us a 1, so I'll have a 1 and a 1 here. And we just need to figure out which one of them is negative. If I put a negative here and a positive here, that would give us 2 cosine squared x minus 2 cosine x plus 1 cosine x, which would give us the correct plus or minus sign there, and then minus 1. Now, set each factor equal to 0, and we'll get 2 cosine x plus 1 equals 0, or cosine x minus 1 equals 0. So this would give us cosine x equals negative 1/2, or cosine x equals 1. And since they asked us for exact answers and using pi as needed, I'm thinking these would be on the unit circle. So let's think about, when does cosine x equal 1? Cosine x equals 1 when the reference angle is 0, or we would have x is either 0 or 2 pi. I won't use the 2 pi because the interval in question was 0 inclusive, 2 pi excluded, so we won't use that one. Cosine x equals negative 1/2. Cosine has a size of 1/2 when the reference angle is 60 degrees, or pi over 3. But it's negative, so to be negative cosine, it would have to be in the second quadrant or the third quadrant. So we need a reference angle of pi over 3 in the second quadrant and a reference of pi over 3 in the third quadrant. So those would be x is either 2 pi over 3 or 4 pi over 3. So our solutions would be the angles 0, 2 pi over 3, and 4 pi over 3.